Good to have you with us for the deadest week in sports. Wow. 3 hours of this, Monday through Friday this week, with no games. Well, Friday night, yeah. I mean, Friday night we'll have some games. But other than that, not much to talk about. I mean, look, there's always plenty of stuff to talk about. It just depends how deep you want to go into it. I am Jason Page. Thank you for being with us tonight. A busy 3 hours ahead because I don't care what week in sports it is. It's always a busy 3 hours from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern. We make it busy. That's what we do. That's how we roll. I am flanked apparently by producer engineer Charles Carter tonight because on my list it said Charles was working 2 days, Justin was working 1, Brian was working 2. So Charles, what days are you working this week? Let's just hash this out over the air. Yeah. So I got Justin on a Friday? Really? All right, it's fine. I was ready for Justin tonight. It's fine. It's all good. Yeah, apparently, because it's just people just make schedule changes and nobody tells me until the show starts. It's great. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's good to see how much people take the host into consideration at this place. Deep breaths. Woosah. Woosah. I'm watching the Home Run Derby tonight. I don't know about you, Charles, but I'm watching the Home Run Derby tonight because if you're not watching that, chances are you're not watching sports. Maybe there's some WNBA. Maybe there is there any WNBA tonight? Is there? Hold on, let me make sure because I don't want to give short shrift to the WNBA as we start the show. No, there's no WNBA tonight either. So we are literally talking Home Run Derby and nothing else in terms of action tonight because the tennis is obviously all done. Wimbledon was earlier in the day. So, good. All right, fine. No worries. All-Star game tomorrow night. We'll give you the betting preview on that coming up in about 12 minutes here on the show. We'll be joined by Bill Bender of Sporting News in this hour, national college football writer. 2 stories I want to sink my teeth into when it comes to college football. One is the ouster of Pat Fitzgerald. He is done as head coach at Northwestern, as he should be. And the Jalen Kitna story that we talked about on this show last week, with him having pled out and them basically saying, you know what, those child pornography charges or the kiddie porn you had on your phones, we're going to forget that whole thing. And we're just going to give you like a disorderly conduct. It's great to be white with great attorneys. So I got to talk about that with Bill Bender because there is Jalen Kitna news today. We'll get to that coming up a little later on in this hour. Can I give you here's my hot take on the Home Run Derby. You ready, Charles? I got a hot take on the Home Run Derby. Here it is. Other than the first round, it just gets worse as it goes. Because after these guys go out there for the first round and hit, bombs for 3 minutes, and then have to hit them for another minute, these guys have nothing left in rounds 2 and 3. I know Randy Arozarena had a nice second round tonight, and that's all great. But most of these guys aren't going to be able to do anything in the second round. All the fireworks for the Home Run Derby are in the first round. Then you start getting wall scrapers in the second round. And by the time they get to the third round, these guys, you could put it on a tee, and you'd be lucky if these guys could figure out a way to get it out of the park. It's too much to ask. 3 rounds. How do you conceptualize the Home Run Derby? Yeah. Yeah, there's something to that. The baseball all-star game, though, unto itself is a different animal in that, the guys are trying to win. There's something at stake. God, the American League wins every year, though, so I guess it doesn't really matter. So Randy Arozarena is through to the final, by the way. We're waiting to see who's in the other half of the bracket, who winds up going through. Julio Rodriguez put on a show in the first round. He smacked around Pete Alonso in a big way. Julio had 41 home runs, most in single-round history. But now what's he going to be able to do in the second round? Now, I will say this. He did not seem tired at all in that first round. Like, you see Vladdy Guerrero, he was huffing and puffing by the time he got done with, like, the first 3 minutes. So he didn't have much of a chance. Well, I shouldn't say that. He has a chance because he's going up against Rodriguez. But Vladdy is one of those guys, kind of a bigger guy, thicker guy. Lot more moving parts, if you know what I mean. It's going to be tough for him against Julio. And Julio is obviously the hometown favorite in this thing. So we'll see what happens between Vladdy and Julio Rodriguez. Could be fun to watch. Oh, was that Vladdy Sr. sitting next to him? I think it was. I think it was Vladdy Sr. sitting next to him. I've been to Seattle a whole bunch. I've never had a chance to go into this ballpark. I hate the fact that I haven't been in this stadium yet. So Julio, I don't know, is that Julio's dad? They keep showing this guy with a Rodriguez jersey, and he looks like he's old enough to be Julio's dad. I wonder if that's Julio's dad. So it'll be Julio this round against Vlad Guerrero. Julio was one of the guys that definitely was a favorite to win. Acuna Jr. was a favorite to win. He got bounced in the first round. Alonso was a favorite to win. He got bounced in the first round. Yeah, Julio's just got it's just so effortless. Can I say this too, by the way? Because it is the biggest thing going on in sports tonight. So that's why I decided to spend some time on it here in the first segment. Once it's over, we probably won't talk about it much at all. But and I know they're going to say, well, his wife convinced him to do it. Mookie Betts in this home run derby was the biggest waste of 3 minutes of anybody's life. I mean, really. Really? I mean, can you think? I mean, let's try and think. No, let's try to think. It would be like putting Fred Hoiberg in the slam dunk contest. You just wouldn't do it. You know? It'd be like putting Fred Hoiberg in the slam dunk contest. It would have been like putting Muggsy Bogues in the slam dunk contest. It's just stupid. I mean, can you think of a bigger waste? I mean, I would have rather seen Joey Gallo. And I mean that because Joey Gallo can probably hit 35 home runs in a home run derby. You give me Joey Gallo in a home run derby. Josh Donaldson would have been better in this home run derby. Almost anybody would have been better than Mookie Betts in this home run derby. And he did because his wife said it's something you should do once in your life. No, going to the Eiffel Tower in Paris is something you should do once in your life. Hitting in the home run derby does not have to be one of the things you do once in your life and waste 3.5 minutes of my time. I get very little of it. I get very little enjoyment in my life. The home run derby is one of the few things in life I enjoy. Watching Mookie Betts barely hit 12 home runs in the first round of the home run derby and get smoked is not my idea of a good time. Nobody was served by that except Mookie Betts and his wife. It's awful. Mookie Betts in the home run derby. I'd rather they bring Mookie Wilson out of retirement and have him in the home run derby. God, so bad. So Julio's got 10 home runs, a minute 32 left in his. See, here's what they should do in the second. Because all the fireworks are in the first round. In the second round, instead of 3 minutes, make it 2. Putting these guys back up there for another 3 minutes. There's just. Because then it comes down to conditioning. It's no longer about who could hit home runs and power and all that. It's just about conditioning. Nobody wants to have to worry about their baseball players being conditioned. I mean, come on, let's be honest. We all think they are in the same shape as Daniel Vogelbach. Have you ever seen Daniel Vogelbach? That dude looks like a softball player who just showed up at a baseball field when they were like, hey, we need a player. You want to play? So Julio's got 13 with a minute left. He still hasn't gotten the bonus yet, the extra minute. Right now, he's only going to get an extra 30 seconds. He's got to get popping here. He needs 2 440-foot home runs. And that was the other thing. Mookie Betts had no shot. You could have taken 2 of Mookie Betts' balls back to back, and it wouldn't have equaled 440 feet. I can't laugh, otherwise I'm going to choke. Oh, my God. It's so bad. Mookie Betts, worst home run. Can we just say it? Would this be we don't do hyperbole on this show, but this might be as close as we get. Ready? Declarative statement. Mookie Betts, worst home run derby contestant ever. Full stop. Mookie Betts' wife, worst decision ever to put her husband in the home run derby. Full stop. But you got to do it once in your life. All right, a lot of serious stuff to get into on the show tonight. We'll start about it next. We can mark off Mookie Betts as players we'll get on the show in the future. Yeah. She's sitting in the front row watching her husband die in front of like 6 million people on TV. Oh, God. She's watching him die on TV. He didn't even take the time out. He's like, fuck this. Why do I want to prolong this agony? Oh, God, golly, Miss Molly. Yeah, I'm still sick. 2.5 weeks. We're at now. I'm giving it one more day tomorrow just because I got mad shit to do. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to go back to a doctor if I have to. Because it's just a cough. Like, well, it's two things. It's a cough. The big problem is I'm every day I've had to take a nap. Like, I have no energy. Like 3 o'clock, 3:30 every afternoon, I got to go sleep. I'm done. What, COVID? I've had COVID twice. I've tested. I'm negative. I might test again tomorrow just because I have an appointment where I should make sure that I'm not when I go to see my therapist, I don't want to put her in danger. So I'll test again tomorrow, but I guess maybe I should. Maybe we should test again, babe. I think so. I'm afraid this is long haul. That's what my fear is, that I'm having long haul. That this is from the fact that I had it twice. That's what I'm worried about. Well, Julio didn't do that well. Yeah, no. I think Julio had half the number of home runs this time. Home run derby odds. Oh, there's live betting odds on home run derby. We can do that here too. Yeah, no. The last thing I heard from Brian was earlier today. Was you Wednesday and Friday, and Brian Tuesday, Thursday. And I'll tell you why it matters later. Good to have you with us. You want to live bet the home run derby? Why not? You can bet anything. 2 spiders crawling up a web side by side. Which one gets to the top first? That's what us degenerates do. So here's some of the live betting available, courtesy of the unofficial sportsbook of the Cash and FanDuel Sportsbook. Unofficial, why? Because they don't pay us. So Vladimir Guerrero has just started his last round, his second round, after Julio Rodriguez hit 20 home runs, and that 20 might hold up only because of this. Vladdy's going to get tired. Vladdy Boom Batty, he's a guy that gets tired. Wow, he just hit one a long way up the second deck, though. I thought somebody was going to hit one clear out of the park tonight. I'm disappointed because I have seen Aaron Judge hit one to the very last row of the top of that left field upper deck. He was that close to hitting one out of the park. I'm surprised nobody hit one out of the park. Shohei could have hit one out of the park if he was in this thing. That's the other thing. I mean, you're missing so many. There's so many big boppers that you'd want to see in this thing that aren't in it. I can think of three right off the top of my head. Shohei, Judge, obviously he's hurt, and Giancarlo Stanton, who isn't having a great year, doesn't have big numbers. But this thing shouldn't be about who's having the best year or the biggest numbers or any of that stuff. It should just be who are the most prolific power hitters. That's what I want. Who are the most prolific power hitters? Vladdy's got 10, a minute 42 left on the clock. And again, Julio had 20. So Vladdy's in good shape. Unless Vladdy really runs out of gas here. Vladdy's gonna get by Julio. He's being interviewed by Bo Bichette right now. Bo Bichette's a cool cat. I like Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette looks like my nephew with long hair. He really does. He looks. I have a nephew that looks just like Bo Bichette. Yeah, true story. So here we are at the All-Star break, and we'll do plenty of second half preview stuff. But there is something hanging over this All-Star game, this All-Star week, this week off of the game. And it is the situation surrounding Shohei Ohtani. There's no getting around it. He was interviewed by a gaggle of media today. He did about a 30-minute session with the media, and he doesn't talk to the media much during the season. Only on every fifth day when he is a pitcher does he do interviews with the media, which is kind of lame considering the fact that he hits, he's in the lineup virtually every day. So he chooses to be treated as a pitcher, so he only has to be interviewed every fifth day. Yeah, see? Get the best of all worlds if you're him. But everything I heard today out of Shohei Ohtani, and we're gonna get some baseball guests on during this week, so it's not as if we won't talk about this plenty. But I just want to get this out there now. Shohei Ohtani will not be on the Angels come August 1st at the trade deadline. Whatever day the trade deadline is, by that time he will be on a different team. The question is just which team he's going to be on. Everything Ohtani said today was an indication that he wants to go somewhere else. Case in point today, take a listen to Shohei, who was talking through his translator. And take a listen. This is Shohei Ohtani in his own words talking about his future with the Angels.
年々強くはもちろんなってますね。それは負ければ悔しいし、いけなかったら悔しいっていうのはその通りなので、優勝したことがない以上は優勝したいなって思うのが自然かなと思います。
Yeah, those feelings get stronger year by year. It sucks to lose. He wants to win, so yeah, it gets stronger every year.
There you go. You heard him, and then you heard his translator basically say, "I am." It sucks to lose. And every year he gets more tired of losing. So he's gone. And here's the thing. Now, he's not coming back. I had an idea that if you're the Angels, you trade him away and then you try to get him back. With those words, unless they can convince him to come back and put players around him that gives him a chance to win, he's not coming back. So if you are the Angels, at this point, you've got to be thinking, what's the best value we can get from him? You've got a month. No, all right. You got a little less than a month. You got 2.5 weeks to get the best deal imaginable for him. Otherwise, he walks for nothing. And that cannot happen if you are this organization. I mean, that would literally be the baseball Hindenburg. The baseball Titanic hitting the iceberg. Take your metaphor of choice. It would be the absolute most colossal disaster for a Major League Baseball franchise if that organization gets nothing for Shohei Ohtani. It might suck for a month and a half to have empty seats at the place formerly known as the Big A. It might suck, but at the same time, it's going to suck a whole lot more if you don't get the max value for Shohei Ohtani right now, because he will never be more valuable than he is over these next 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever, 2.5 weeks. We have a phone number. I haven't given it out yet. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. We have a text line. Some of you have already started to hit it up. 888-670-8549. That is the cash-in exclusive text line, 888-670-8549. I do apologize if you still hear me coughing during the show. I have been sick for 2.5 weeks. I am still sick, still dealing with symptoms of something, and I don't know what it is. We're just trying to battle through it the best we can. If you are sick, you have my sympathies. I know what it's like. But Ohtani's not going to be an Angel much longer. They're going to have to part ways with him. It's just going to be a question of what's the best deal you can get. And he'll be a rental for somebody. And then everybody will try to vie for his services here in the offseason. You know, Seattle would be an interesting spot for him, given, Ichiro. But if you're Ohtani, and this is an interesting thing, do you have so much respect for Ichiro if you're Ohtani that you would not want to supplant him as one of the greats of that organization as a fellow Japanese, sort of transplant to Major League Baseball? I wonder if there's something to be said for that. I mean, because Seattle's a great, it is, but I've never heard anybody really talk about it, so I don't really know the answer to it. We'll have to try and get somebody on this week. I'd be curious if I don't know if Seattle has, again, it's going to take such a load of prospects. I'll tell you the organization that would make sense in terms of prospects. Oh my God, if this ever happened, oh my God, the Baltimore Orioles have the most prospects out there. And I mean, if there was ever a time to say, hey, we're in it to win it, there's no chance you're going to be able to keep him in the offseason, though. So he is strictly a rental. So if you do this and you're the Orioles, you have to win it all, because you're going to give up so many prospects in this deal that if you don't win it all, you will have depleted your whole system. Because you're going to have to give up you're going to have to give up Jackson Holiday. You're going to have to give up Heston Kedgeberg. What's his name? Heston Kedgerstad. Heston Kjerstad, I think is his name. They're going to have to give him up. They might have to give up somebody on the major league level. But they're going to have to give up some big-time pieces. Grayson Rodriguez. Give up a pitcher, you get a pitcher. The Ohtani stuff's going to be fun to watch over the next 3 weeks. And you know what the worst part is? That deal, I don't know what day is the trade deadline for baseball. Can you tell me exactly what day it is, Charles, before we hit the end of this segment? I think it's July 31st. Because I'll tell you the worst part about that is I go on vacation July 29th. I will not be around that week. So there's a chance I might miss out on the trade deadline. Oh, God. Can I do the show from a cruise ship? Is that possible? Oh, man. Can I do it like on the coast somewhere? Oh, my God. If I have to miss this trade deadline is going to be the greatest trade deadline. All right, let's shift gears. Do some college football. Bill Bender, Sporting News, national college football writer. Pat Fitzgerald is out at Northwestern. What changed in the last 3 days that the school decided to part ways with their longtime head coach? I mean, he's not a great head coach. The team has sucked for the last 16 years. And Jalen Kitna in the transfer portal? We'll get to it all next on the Cash In. Alrighty then. Hold on, let me mute my mic. Good to have you with us tonight. May not be a lot going on the field, on the court, wherever it may be, but there is big news from the world of college football. Northwestern has fired its head football coach, Pat Fitzgerald. kind of a dark story that has started to emerge here amid allegations of widespread hazing within the football program. The university president, Michael Schill, made the announcement today. Quote, the head coach is ultimately responsible for the culture of his team. The hazing we investigated was widespread, clearly not a secret within the program, providing Coach Fitzgerald with the opportunity to learn what was happening. Either way, the culture in Northwestern football, while incredible in some ways, was broken in others. Bill Bender does a great job on college football. We usually talk to him during the season. He's with the Sporting News, kind enough to join us tonight on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio, on the SportsMap Radio app. All right, Bill, what changed over the last few days that they went from a 2-week suspension to basically eliminating the head coach?
Well, it's still, this is a stunner. I mean, just from my standpoint, when you talk about Pat Fitzgerald, you talk about one of the most stand-up guys in the profession, in my experience. You know, you talk to other coaches about him, you talk to anybody about him, and being around him, he was that guy, which makes these allegations of hazing and even racism shocking in that locker room. So I think what changed was that the Daily Northwestern story came out, all of the findings are there, and then just got go from there like so many things do. So I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it, honestly. And the latest news being that Pat Fitzgerald's going to hire an attorney. This isn't going away.
No, it certainly isn't. You know what else, though, about all this? You know, you love the sort of student journalism aspect of this. Not to go far afield on this, but, in a day and age, like we just saw today, the New York Times basically blew up its sports department. It's using The Athletic to fill in the gaps for the New York Times sports section. It's kind of cool to see, like, some real journalism play a role in this.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And it's definitely one of those deals where, in our field, like you said, it's good to have people do that, and it's good to have, just in general for our profession to be able to have that investigative power and to keep the power in local journalism at the student level. I remember being a student journalist, and everything there was pretty good. So,
was it ultimately though? Bill, was it ultimately the outrage after the story came out and only the 2-week suspension? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what changed, what new information came to light that sort of changed the calculus here.
I think for me, it was some of that, the outrage. It's 2023. I think where the sticking point to me is the hazing part, and then the allegations of, the stuff in the locker room, I don't even know if I can use the phrase that was used in the article on your show, so I'm not going to do it. Those kind of things with the purge mask and, types of behavior that, quite frankly, in a locker room with winning culture shouldn't be happening. Is that fair to say? I mean, absence of whether these allegations are true or not, you have to take them very seriously. So that's where, once you see those kind of words and phrases in an article, and regardless of the comfort level or whether it was right or wrong, you figure that that's probably the sticking point where Northwestern's going to hang it on. And like you said, the article obviously made the university kind of change their tune, which was the crazy part.
We've seen, examples of this in the past and how universities handle it. New Mexico State had a hazing incident where they basically, shut down the program. I know that they fired the head coach here. Is this something that warrants just closing down the program for a year, trying to get your arms around this? And how does the NCAA proceed with any potential action here? Are they going to want their pound of flesh as well?
Well, we're going to find out next. And I think, you got to vet out these allegations probably further to see if the courts get involved. You never want that. It goes beyond football at a certain point. And again, we have to define what constitutes the hazing that they're talking about. I mean, the conflicting reports part is, and I'm using another phrase that I just learned today, running and Shrexless and those kind of things. Some of these Northwestern players say they are 100% there. Others say they're not. It was odd to me that the entire team, or, it was a canned PR type statement, but when that many people voice their support for a coach, these things get ugly. And unfortunately, we've had one of these happen. I don't want to say every year, but this is another year where we've had this happen.
Talking with Bill Bender, Sporting News does a great job on college football here on the Cash In SportsMap Radio. Move to Jalen Kitna here for a second, because I talked about this story last week. And in full disclosure, as somebody who's a victim myself of sexual assault at a young age, this is something that's obviously near to my, near and dear to me when I see these sorts of stories. And you see the child porn charges dropped against him, which is still amazing unto itself. And another one of these examples where, hey, enough money, right attorney, you get the result that you want, so he doesn't have to register as a sex offender. And I remember saying last week, I can't imagine a scenario where a major Division I college, any college, is going to want this guy on their campus with the PR headache alone that comes with it. And then I see he's entered the transfer portal, which means there must be some expectation that somebody's going to want to give him another chance. Is that what's going to happen?
We'll see. I would say at this part of the story, probably highly unlikely. And like you said, it's a head scratcher from top to bottom. And I'm sensitive to those kind of things too. So I know is the best answer I can give you. I don't know if there'll be a market for him. I don't know if that's really played out. Or
it only takes one, though. At the end of the day, it only takes one, like anything else.
Right. And I think it's different from players to coaches. We've seen coaches time and again get second and third chances despite these types of things. Not anything like that, but you know what I mean? So it's a fun day for college football, to say the least, that you have to talk about these things instead of the upcoming media days, for example.
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, you're still talking about teenagers. And, think about it. We just talked about a hazing incident. Could you imagine the kind of crap that Jalen Kitna would be subject to? Rightly so, if he was giving crap. But, it's just not it just doesn't seem like a scenario that's viable for any major college. What's that redemption school that everybody winds up going to try and, sort of fix their careers? Maybe somebody like that decides to take them in, but I just can't imagine a major D1 FBS program saying, yeah, you know what? We're going to be the school that gives him a shot, because there's going to be people protesting everywhere.
Right. And that's, you're going to bring that into your program. It would be very complicated, to say the least. One of the points I brought up, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with Kitna as much as Fitzgerald, is in my column this evening, I wrote that maybe, the college locker room is going to have to evolve into more of a professional workplace. I think where one of the sticking points with the Fitzgerald story that I've been debating all night is he said he left the locker room to them. That's their place. Well, the locker room doesn't belong to the players. It belongs to the coaches. It belongs to the university. It belongs to the athletic directors. You know what I mean? So I think we need to move towards, and I'm not grandstanding, I just think the locker room will need to be a professional workplace like anywhere where you and I would work.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right, especially now with the element of money and NIL money and these guys representing brands in some case. It's a whole different ballgame.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, treat it like a professional workplace, not a locker room. Now, some old school type people, and yeah, I played high school football, and this is not a great example, but locker room, I never had any of those experiences. It was locker room, it was get in, get your pads off, get out. And I think that's what it needs to become, like an NFL workplace where you respect everybody's privacy, you respect getting in, getting out, and you can still build a team at the college level, but with the element of money and the element of the transfer portal where guys can come and go, and if they don't like how things were run one place, you never know what they're going to say about your program. So, like I said, some of me is still reserving judgment to see how it plays out in the court for Pat Fitzgerald, but I'm guessing Northwestern is going to win that one just from the standpoint that they found cause to fire him, and it's going to be hard to reverse that.
And I don't know how much information he really wants getting out there. You talk about lawsuits, you talk about discovery, and some of the things that may come out may wind up making it worse for Pat Fitzgerald than if He just kind of quietly goes away and then tries to rehab his career elsewhere. Bill Bender, Sporting News. Great job on college football. Check out his column on the Fitzgerald story and much more. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it tonight.
Hey, no problem. Take care. Have a good evening.
Good to catch up with you. Bill Bender on the show, giving us a few minutes. The Jalen Kitna thing is just mind-boggling to me. Who's bringing him to their school? We're back with more of the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Thank you. I had to grab a drink. That'll be in the pod. The first segment on the home run derby stuff where I made fun of Mookie Betts, we could put that in the pod too.
Came here before I did it.
I forgot I still had some of my. This thing keeps really well. Oh, we're smothering. Yeah, I'm just killing my mic when I have to cough. I feel like I'm coughing more now these last 2 days than I was before. It's crazy. Oh. There's still little shards of ice in this. It's so funny.
Why, Daddy? Why you smother me?
Poke and prod, smother. Wake up, call. Hey, Google, set the thermostat to 74 degrees.
Sure. Setting the Nest thermostat to 74 degrees.
$15 minutes till the top of the hour. Good to have you with us. Oh, we've got a hell of a finish to the Derby. Rosarena needs 4 more home runs in 20 seconds to tie Vlad Guerrero. Oh, can he get there? Is he going to run out of time? He's got 23, I believe. He's got 10 seconds left. Oh, he's going to come up just short. Oh, he's going to come up 1 short. That's it. Oh, he came up 1 short. Vladdy beats a Rosarena. Oh, he came up 2 short. 25-23. Rosarena is a really exciting baseball player. I was just having an interesting text exchange or a Twitter exchange with a former program director I worked for in radio. And I don't want to blow up his spot or anything like that. He he put up a post on social media. I'll talk about it next hour. I'll get into it next hour. But it has something to do with what we're watching tonight, with some of the really fun star players in the league on display. The flashy, glitzy sort of players that are on display tonight. You know, Julio Rodriguez, who had 41 home runs in the first round tonight. So Vlad Guerrero, your home run derby champion. Un campeón de home run. Hasta la vista pelota, as the great John Miller would say. It was fun. It was a fun home run derby, I got to say. Vladdy. They're showing Vladdy celebrate. I'm just thinking about this, just thinking out loud. Charles, you might want to join in on this. I don't know. Producer Charles Carter. Best father-son. Are they going to wind up being the best father-son duo ever in any sport? I mean, think about it. I mean, you're going to have 2 Hall of Famers. I mean, Ken Griffey Sr. was not a Hall of Famer. He was a good player, but not a Hall of Famer. Oh, God, his son's still, like, not even shaving yet. He's not 11, but, I mean, no. I mean, that is it is a good one you bring up, though. That I'll give you credit, because I had not thought outside of the 4 major sports, and you went there. So I give you some kudos for that. Charlie Woods is who you're talking about. Yeah, Charlie Woods, who we haven't heard much about in recent days, but Charlie Woods is, how old is Charlie? Let's see. Charlie Woods' age is 14. He's 14 right now. But I mean, it's still really early. Yeah, it's still super early. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to expect. I mean, this is here and now, but this is, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. This is here and now. You know, like Vladdy's in the hall. Vladdy Jr. is on an early trajectory to be a Hall of Fame player for sure. I'm just trying to think if there's somebody else I'm missing. Bobby Bonds, Barry Bonds. I mean, Dante Bichette, Bo Bichette. I mean, Dante Bichette's not a Hall of Famer. Had a really good career. Of course, a lot of that aided by the fact that he played in Colorado. Certainly had something to do with it. What was Dante Bichette's career numbers? Just fall into this rabbit hole of statistics. Dante Bichette. I mean, Dante Bichette was a career 299 hitter. 270, yeah, but 274 career home runs, 1,900 hits. So he never even got to 2,000 hits. I mean, his WAR was 5.6. I mean, that's a pretty good WAR. Talking about all time, if you start talking about, career WAR, so where does that put him? 5.6 is a pretty good number. Career Career WAR leaders. Babe Ruth. That's funny. Babe Ruth is 182.6 for his career. It's a ridiculous number. Wow. There's some interesting guys that come in when you start talking about career WAR, by the way. Let's see here. Career WAR. See, somebody told me that Willie Randolph, of all people, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. Let's see. Willie Randolph. Willie Randolph. There's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame that are not Willie Randolph, and Willie Randolph has one of the better career wins above replacement you've seen, 65.9. He's right there with a bunch of guys that are Hall of Famers. There's a lot of people that will make the argument that Willie Randolph actually belongs in the Hall of Fame. Willie Randolph's got a better WAR than Jackie Robinson for his career. Interestingly enough. I'll give you another one. You know who else has the same exact WAR as Jackie Robinson? Oh, no, never mind. Not exactly the same. Almost exactly the same. Billy Hamilton. You would never Billy Hamilton. Yeah, Billy Hamilton's got almost the same exact WAR as for his career than Jackie Robinson, which is kind of interesting. You can have some fun with it. I mean, look, I'm not a huge analytics geek, so I try not to get too deep into that stuff. Like we had fun one night. Brian McDonald and I, our other fantastic producer that works pretty regularly on this show, we had fun one night because he started just going through all these geek stats, and I just went. You start going into that stuff, just my eyes glaze over. I can only handle so much of it. But this was a fun home run derby tonight. And Vladdy's power numbers are kind of down this year, which is kind of interesting. And he was sort of a slow and steady wins the race mentality tonight. I don't think he had any one round that was like even in the 30s. Like his numbers were pretty tame. And that's why I said all the fireworks of the home run derby, all the sizzle is in the first round. Second and third round, it's just about longevity and how much stamina you have and, conditioning and that sort of thing. That's what winds up being the difference when you get into the second round, the third round, that sort of thing. Home run derby's fun. Let me also say this, though. And I know there's like not a celebrity home run derby, but there's like this little barnstorming home run derby thing going on around the country where like Nick Swisher is in it. A bunch of guys that like recently retired are doing this barnstorming home run derby. And I only know about it because one of them came across my screen because it's going to be in Hartford, Connecticut, which is where the Hartford Yard Goats play, Double-A team of the Colorado Rockies. So they're doing this thing where they go around like minor league stadiums and do these like home run derbies, that sort of thing. But is it really? Like, see, there used to actually be an old TV show back in like Mickey Mantle's day and stuff like that. There used to be a show called Home Run Derby. The worst mistake baseball could possibly make is doing something beyond this when it comes to the home run derby. Because what makes this special is the fact that it is only once a year. If Christmas was if Christmas was, 3 times a year, you wouldn't appreciate Christmas as much. Wouldn't be that special. If you celebrate your birthday every month, well, I'm 21 in 1 month, 21 in 2 months, 21 in 3, it'd get old. The home run derby, it's like Christmas. It's like Christmas for baseball. It really is. It's one of the best. They have done putting this thing on a timer, adding the extra bonus time and stuff like that. They've really done they have maximized just how cool the home run derby could have been. You can't do better than this. Don't try and start doing something during the off season at some spring training complex in Mesa, Arizona. Nobody's going to care. We're into football at that point. Don't bother me. I got enough to worry about. It was fun tonight, though. Good times. The interesting question that was posed on Twitter by an old boss of mine. I want to get to that on the other side. Another hour of the cash-in is right around the corner. I'm Jason Page. Don't start snoring over there. Wow, they got Joey Chestnut. That's nice. If you heave, you leave. What a great quote. If you heave, you leave. That's a great quote. First Blue Jays player to win the home run derby since 1985. Who was the winner in 1985 is what I want to know. Dave Parker. Wow. I remember Dave Parker. Dude was a ferocious hitter. Dave Parker once had at least 40 home runs in a season. Let's see. Dave Parker was a career 290 hitter. I never would have guessed that. Dave Parker. No, he never had more than 34 home runs in a year. 34, 125, 312. Who won the MVP that year if he didn't? Holy shit. This dude went 312, 34, 125, and was second in MVP voting. 85. Oh. Willie McGee hit 353 that year for the Cardinals. And in the American League, Don Mattingly won it. Don Mattingly! 35, 145, 324. Oh, he's awesome. It's a rabbit hole. Another hour of the show starts right now on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. See, this is the rabbit hole of baseball history. If I start going down this, we'll spend the next 2 hours talking about the 1985 MVP voting. I am such a geek for this stuff. I'm not going to lie. It is the sport that just it gives me the feels. So what we learned during the top of the hour was that Vladdy Guerrero is the first Toronto Blue Jay to win a home run derby since before Charles was born. 1985. What year were you born, Charles? It's 2 years after I graduated high school. It's depressing with a capital D. All right, so Vladdy wins it tonight. First Blue Jay since 85. The Blue Jay that won it in 85, if I had been guessing, this is not who I would have guessed. Dave Parker. Dave Parker. But let's see, here's what I'm confused about. Wait a second. They said Dave Parker, but he was on Cincinnati. I'm so confused. That's it. No, never. This doesn't make any sense at all. They said 85. Format Dave Parker. I am so confused. Home run derby, Blue Jays winners. No, see, that couldn't be. Dave Parker was playing for Cincinnati in 85. So that makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. Yeah, I need a second here. I'm trying to figure this out. Blue Jays, Joe Carter. Yeah, see, Joe Carter. This doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. Joe Carter was the first Blue Jay to participate in a home run derby. Made it to 3 during the 1990s. I think ESPN put up a faulty statistic. I'm actually going to rewind my DVR just to try and prove that it was wrong. Oh, I can't go back that far, really. I don't think a Blue Jay has ever won the home run derby until tonight. Joe Carter was in it 91, 92, and 96. And he wasn't very good in it. Sean Green was in it in 99. Carlos Delgado did it a couple of times. Troy Gloss. Alex Rios. Boy, there's some weird names in this list that I wouldn't know. You don't even think of these guys. Vernon Wells. Forget about Vernon Wells. Interesting. Jose Bautista. That one I would make sense. Oh, first father-son champs, Vladdy and Vladdy Sr. That's an interesting one. Yeah. So Dave Parker won it in 85. I don't know why 85 came up. But then it got me looking into 1985, the 1985 season to see, who was what, who were good players, that sort of thing. Because you start, again, falling into this rabbit hole of baseball stuff, which we have all night to do, because let's be honest about it. There ain't a whole lot going on in sports, although I do have some things I want to get into in this hour, some NBA-related stuff. Dave Parker in 1985. You ready for this? Dave Parker in 1985 hit 312, 34 home runs, 125 RBIs. He was second in the MVP voting. And he only struck out 80 times. This is back when, if you struck out 100 times, you were shamed out of the game. You going to play it? I thought you were going to play it. Come on. See? No, I thought you were going to play the shame button. I thought you were. I even gave you the pregnant. There you go. Thank you. Dave Parker did win an MVP in 1978 with the Pirates. 334, 30, and 117 that year. Don Mattingly, by the way, won the MVP in 85 for the Yankees. Donnie Baseball belongs in the Hall of Fame. Just putting that out there into the universe in the hopes that maybe somebody will hear us and something will change. All right. An interesting tweet came up. I mean, I have a whole list of things to talk about, but I easily get derailed, especially on a night like tonight where there isn't something like super pressing that we all have to get into. But an old program director of mine from a sports radio station that I worked for put up an interesting tweet tonight. He said, Julio Rodriguez just hit 40 home runs. It was electric. Trying to come up with the most exciting athlete in sports right now. Shohei, Mahomes, Steph. Now, this person is in the San Francisco sports market, so if they don't put Steph, they lose their San Francisco sports privileges. So I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Steph's an exciting player. He wouldn't even be top 5 on my list right now. If we were putting together like a Mount Rushmore of today, we could just tear it down next year, right? We're making a cheapy Mount Rushmore here. And I know Mount Rushmores are the laziest thing in all of sports radio. It's a week with no sports. Shut up. I don't care what you think. Shohei would definitely be on it. Right? We'll definitely put Shohei on it. If we're going basketball, let's try and see if we can come up with one from each sport to fill it. So it's Shohei in baseball. Well, I was going to say NHL. I'm still giving NHL fourth. If we're going basketball, that's interesting. Because while Nikola Jokic might be the best player, is he exciting? Is it electric? Is it, oh my God, Nikola Jokic is playing on TNT tonight. I got to turn it on. No, it is not. So it's not Jokic. I wouldn't do Jokic. A guy lumbering up and down the floor looking like a YMCA player. I can't do it. No, can't do it. No, he's not. It doesn't excite me, though. He just doesn't. No, good Lord, no. John Morant. Let's see somebody blow up and incinerate their own career, self-immolate their own career. No. It's not Ja. It's not Ja. Gosh, it's hard in the NBA. It's harder than I would think it is in the NBA. Giannis? As long as he doesn't have to shoot free throws. Cheap shot. God, where are we going for NBA? NHL, let's see. I'll go probably Connor McDavid. I don't think you go wrong with him. Yeah, I'll go Connor McDavid for the NHL. 25, still bright, vibrant. NFL, it's easy to sit there and say Mahomes. And that's probably, I guess, sometimes the most logical answer is the right one. So it's probably Mahomes in the NFL. Not for nothing, I was kind of poo-pooing the idea of Stephen Curry being one of the most exciting. You know what? If now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, and we're just talking now, we're not talking about in 2 or 3 years, we're not talking about for the long term. Maybe Stephen Curry is. Now, if we're talking about the most exciting, if you tell me, hey, I got $100 to go spend to go see one player play one game this year, Stephen Curry's coming to town, I might do it. Yeah, we'll play. Why not? Yeah. No. Luka. I'd probably go watch Luka ahead of Steph. Well, you're a racist. You chose the white guy. No, I think it's Luka, though. I think it's Luka right now. He's more athletic than yeah. Yeah, he can get up and down the floor. No, but Jason Tatum's not, Jason Tatum's kind of inconsistent in terms of shooting the three. And we could have some fun with this. Hit us up on the text line. If you were making a Mount Rushmore of the most exciting players in sports, you get four. Let me know. 888-670-8549. Hit me up on the text line. You can text us from anywhere. Standard text messaging rates apply. 888-670-8549. If you were putting four people on a Mount Rushmore, the most exciting players in sports, who are you putting on it? I'll tell you right now, and I know this is totally prisoner to the moment crap that I'm about to do, but if I had money to spend right now and Ellie De La Cruz was here and they told me it was like $150 to go see him, I'd plunk down the money because Ellie De La Cruz is going to do something great every night. That dude is just excitement personified. We're coming back. Ellie's a freak. Ellie is a freak. Yeah, Connor McDavid would be the guy in hockey. Yeah, but it's not like the old days with like a Barry Sanders running the football that, if you ask this question when Barry Sanders was playing, it's Barry Sanders because he's the most electric, thing you've ever seen. There aren't any running backs like that anymore, If he's healthy, if McCaffrey's healthy, he's really exciting. I would agree. Yeah, but again, one-dimensional. Yeah. No. When was the last time anybody said, I'm going to a game to watch a defensive guy? Yeah, but that's not the question. That's not the question. Oh God, don't go there. I don't need another rabbit hole. Nah, I would still take the Chiefs. Yeah, still without Tyreek. Yeah. All right, you guys have hit me up on the text line. I owe it to you to read them. 888-670-8549, 888-670-8549. David in Austin, Texas, our co-P1 with Dave in Connecticut. You got company, Dave. David in Austin, Texas, listening on 104.9. The Horn says, here's my... Now, you're going to get some crap for this, David. I'm just warning you in advance. Everybody gets it. Justin Verlander... LeBron James. Listen, I'll tell you this: if I have $100 to play, I would still go pay it to go see LeBron, even at this stage of his career. And the guy is a freak. Yeah, putting it all in perspective and relative to his age, LeBron's a freak. I'd pay to go see LeBron. Scotty Scheffler, he put a golfer on there. David put a golfer on his Mount Rushmore of most exciting. If they were playing golf with alligators nipping at their heels, if they took longer than 5 seconds, then I'd put Scotty Scheffler on the list. But only in that scenario. Only if they miss a 4-foot putt, they get swallowed up by the earth. Then I'm putting Scotty Scheffler on the list. Because And ready for his last one? This has to be. David, were you doing this jokingly? He put Justin Tucker as his fourth. Boom, boom, ba-doom, wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yep, that's about right.
Damn you!
Appreciate the text, David. If you've got, I want to know the 4 people you would put on a Mount Rushmore of most exciting players in sports. The 4 you would put on for the most exciting players in sports. And I'll tell you right now, like I said, I'd pay to watch Ellie De La Cruz. There aren't a lot of guys that I would pay to go see. There isn't a lot of anything I would pay to go see, quite honestly. Because I can watch it all on TV. So you got to be really something for me to watch. By the way, speaking of what I watched, did I tell you? I watched Tom Cruise Top Gun Maverick last week. It was good. It was really good, honestly. No, I don't think it was overrated. The end was a little hokey, but it's Top Gun. What do you expect? Nah, I mean, I only saw the first Mission Impossible, which I actually really enjoyed, and I didn't want to ruin that by watching any of the others, and there's been like 7,417 since then. And now, yeah, I've never seen another one since the first Tom Cruise. Red light, green light. But yeah, I'm not. David in Austin, yeah. Justin Verlander on the list. I put a golfer on it. He put a golfer on it. He put Scotty Scheffler on the list. That is great. Yeah. See, now I saw the first Saw, and it was so great that I didn't want to ruin it. I've seen like bits and pieces of the other ones. That's kind of apropos way to say it, bits and pieces, with a movie called Saw. But thanks. The first Saw is legendary. Like, if people have not seen the first Saw, you have got to see the first Saw. It's gory, and it's very uncomfortably gory at times, but the very first Saw is just terrific. I mean, you can't do it better than the first Saw. Carrie Elwes in it. No, I have not seen the. Yeah. The only thing I want to see Chris Rock in is getting smacked around by Will Smith. There isn't anything I've seen Chris Rock in that I've ever liked. Like, I've seen Grown Ups, and I'm like, really? It's just an excuse to make those guys, give those guys something to do. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it was a fun shoot. I'm sure that would be a fun shoot. I don't think I've ever seen anything in Chris Rock that I liked him in. I think he's funny as you know what, but I think he's really funny. Like his stand-up stuff, oh my God. Stand-up is great, but as an actor, movie, yeah. I think I'd put Charles in a movie if I was casting him before I put Chris Rock in it. Yeah, something like that. Text from James in Detroit, Michigan, listening up there. Says, hey, Jason, granted America is a country of second chances, but Jalen Kitna, who we were talking about last hour with Bill Bender of the Sporting News, who's entered the transfer portal for college football. He says, but Jalen Kitna should simply move on and play for a junior/smaller college. Oddly enough, I honestly believe that a big-time college will take a look at him, unfortunately. James in Detroit. Thank you, James. Here's what I'll say to that. I'm glad you bring this up because it kind of makes me, you kind of made me think about it a little bit. You know who will take a shot at a Jalen Kitna? It will be a coach with a ton of coaching credit, a ton of capital, the ability to sort of have a get out of jail free card, so to speak. You know, it would be somebody that has so much clout and so much gravitas within a school. And I don't know if that guy exists, by the way, because Nick Saban's not taking Jalen Kitna. He doesn't need Jalen Kitna. It's got to be somebody who's been at a school for a really long time, has a track record of winning, track record of success, track record of doing things correctly. Like all the boxes would have to be checked. That would be the guy that could go and make a move for Jalen Kitna because he has the gravitas. He's already got the credit put in. He's got it banked away. So he could spend some of that coaching capital, so to speak. You often hear the term in politics of political capital. Where does a politician, where does a mayor, a governor, a president, where do they want to use their political capital? You'll often hear that term in politics. You know, somebody gets elected. They have a high approval rating. Where do you want to go and spend that political capital? You know, for Barack Obama, it was healthcare. It was Obamacare. He could have done 2 or 3 other different things. He could have done something with immigration. He had control of the House. He had control of the Senate. Has the White House. He could have done something with immigration. He chose healthcare as his ballyhoo, or whatever you want to call it. So you got to choose wisely. If you're a head coach and you've got a lot of capital and you think Jalen Kitna could be that guy, are you going to use up a huge chunk of your coaching capital? Dare I even say all of your coaching capital? You're going to use all of your coaching capital for Jalen Kitna? It might even be, even in that scenario, even as I sit here and wrap my head around it, thinking out loud, it might be too big a bridge, too long a bridge, too tough a bridge, even for that guy, as I sit here and say it out loud. I just don't see it. It's going to have to be a JUCO. It's going to have to be a D2 school. But then here's the interesting thing. Let's say he goes to a D2 school and just kills it. Right? Let's say he goes to a D2 school and he's, Joe Flacco at a D2 school. Like Delaware, where Joe Flacco, I think it was D2 or was that 1AA? I don't remember. But, Joe Flacco was great there, drafted by Baltimore. Nice career, Super Bowl, all that stuff. Or, because then let's say he goes and kills it at the D2 level. Is there going to be an NFL team that says, we're going to give this guy a shot? Again, this is so... child porn, even if it was, I don't know how to say this without it, where it's going to sound good. He says, well, I thought they were of age. It sounds, you remember the show To Catch a Predator? That used to be on NBC back in the day, or MSNBC. They used to have that show To Catch a Predator. You ever see that, Charles? You ever see To Catch a Predator? Oh, man, To Catch a Predator with this guy, Greg Hansen, I think his name was. I can't remember. His last name was Hansen. He used to go and catch guys in the act of trying to meet up with people they thought were underage, like minors. And he'd be like, hey, bet you thought you were meeting a kid. Now you're meeting me. We're coming back. Oh, what the hell was the guy's name? Hansen, To Catch a Predator. Chris Hansen, that was his name. Chris Hansen.
This guy from New York City just drove more than 50 miles in the rain to have sex with someone he thinks is a 12-year-old girl. You heard right, a 12-year-old.
What'd you say? Oh, here it is. Yeah. Watch this.
Joshua Cologne likes to be called Poppy, Latin slang for daddy. But we have another name for him. Predator. Cologne is the latest guy caught in our all-new investigative segment, Hansen versus Predator. He's 32 years old enough to be the girl's father. He lives in Queens and works for a plumbing company in Brooklyn. Besides Poppy, he likes to be called Boss. His profile on the Link app shows he belongs to groups like Kush Smokers Are Us and Love Seekers, a site for teens.
Traffic cams we can see for Connecticut to New York. He's in Queens now, and
obviously a 12-year-old girl.
It's too bad you aren't old enough to marry. I would marry you.
After she tells him her mom is going out of town, Cologne drives up I-95 from New York cameras outside, inside, in the hallway, the kitchen, and in the garage where police are in position for the bust.
Whoever's there is typically the handcuffing officer, okay?
19-year-old theater student who could pass for a preteen invites him inside. Watch again. He locks the door behind him. What could he be thinking?
Did you get here okay though? Were the roads bad?
Dark out here. It's really
Look what I made you.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Those are red velvet?
Yeah. Do you like them?
Yeah, like, nice.
Well, do you want to try
my
them?
picture?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What'd you bring me?
I brought dinner for myself.
Oh.
Because I didn't get to finish my dinner.
Oh, that's
because I was
okay.
kind of in a rush.
You can finish. I had stuff earlier.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And then we can have
So I can
cupcakes.
grab you something wherever, it doesn't matter.
It's okay.
That's a nice house.
Thanks.
I wish I had a house like this. Mind if I use the bathroom? Because it was way colder for so long.
Yeah, it's right here.
You look hotter than the picture.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. Yeah, right through
Are you
there.
nervous? Okay.
No, here, this one. Yeah. I know, it's little.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. It's old-fashioned now, yeah?
Yeah.
But when he comes out of the bathroom, he sees me.
I'm sorry, is there a light switch in here? Oh, it's behind here, is that it?
Come on out, Joshua.
Oh,
right over there, please.
He's about to lose his lunch.
Keep your hands right there. Sit properly.
I know who you are.
You know who I am?
Yes.
So you've seen my shows before?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? We're starting up again.
Okay.
And you are among our first guests.
Okay.
What's your name?
Joshua.
Joshua. Joshua what?
Cologne.
Cologne. And how old are you?
I'm 32.
32. And how did you meet this Jenna Claire?
It was on a app link.
And why did you think it was appropriate to talk to a girl who said she was 12 years old?
Busted. Good to have you all with us tonight. Yeah. The Jalen Kenneth, it's so grimy. And again, if somebody's looking at those kind of photos, the thought's already sort of planted in their head. Can you really bring that kind of guy into your football program? Onto your campus? The University of Florida said he's not allowed on the campus until, I think, 2025. I think he's suspended from the campus till 2025. It's 24 or 25. Yeah, oh yeah. They said not only are you kicked out of school, but you can't even come close to the campus until 2024 or 2025. I don't know why then. Why all of a sudden it's good then, I'm not sure. But, I mean, that should tell you something. I don't see it. I don't see how anybody brings him back. And one of our texters said, yeah, it's Chris Hansen is the one behind To Catch a Predator. And then he got into some hot legal water for something and hasn't been doing it for a while. Texts from, let's see, Brian. Not sure from where. Brian from nowhere. Brian, let us know where you're texting from. He said, I would have to put Luka, Patrick Mahomes, Micah Parsons, and he put a name, Patty Pimblett. Anybody? Bueller? I'm going to look it up. We'll find out right now. Oh, it's a UFC fighter. Okay. Mixed martial art. Yeah, he's an MMA fighter. Competes in the lightweight division of UFC. Been a pro since 2012. He's 28 years old. 156 pounds, or also known as Charles Carter's left leg. Sorry, I was coughing. Right, Charles? I said this dude, Patty Pimblett, is 156 pounds, also known as Charles Carter's left leg. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Damn you all to hell!
All right, Patty Pimblett. Next time Patty Pimblett fights, I will make it a point to watch Patty Pimblett. I'm all about that. Never heard of him, but Brian filled us in. Oh, by the way, Dave in Austin, Texas said the reason I put a golfer is because I don't watch hockey. Okay. Hey, we ain't actually I take it back. We were judging. Let's just say it like it is. We were judging you. We were judging you for putting a golfer on. It wasn't very kind of us, I will admit. But you did give us something to sort of chuckle and chortle about. All right. Some NBA news. News you can use. The Blazers. The Blazers. We're going to be waiting this out all summer long. Blazers willing to wait months to trade Damian Lillard. That is the headline that came out of some comments made by the Blazers general manager, Joe Cronin. Said a trade could take months to complete in order to satisfy the objective of leaving the franchise in the best possible position, Tim Bontemps writing for ESPN. I think what I've learned more than anything is patience is critical, Cronin said in a news conference. Don't be reactive. Don't jump at things just to seemingly solve a problem. I think the teams that have ended up in the most positive situations post-trade have been the ones that have been really diligent in taking their time and not been impulsive, or the teams that really kept their urgency under control. So I think that's how my approach has been with this and will be with this. We're going to be patient. We're going to do what's best for our team. We're going to see how this lands. If it takes months, it takes months. I got to say, that is the most sensible response. That is. That's a guy not listening to the noise. That's a guy not listening to the fans in the seats. That's a guy not listening to Damian Lillard say, well, if I don't go to the right team, I'm not going to play. I'm going to be unhappy if you send me to Milwaukee. I'm going to be unhappy if it's not Miami. And yes, I am using the voice of a baby, because that's how I view it. The Blazers owe Damian Lillard nothing except the paycheck he collects. Nothing more. I have zero problem with that approach from the GM. He cannot set that franchise back 2, 3, 4 years just because Damian Lillard wants to go to Miami. So, Joe Cronin, you do you, man. Take your sweet, you-know-what time. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I think he's going about it the right way. That was part one of the big NBA news of the day. The other part was that Victor Wembanyama is not going to play the rest of the Summer League. And after his performance on Sunday, the Spurs took one of the, there's an old saying, leave on a good shot, right? When you're playing golf, you're at the range, you hit a good ball, walk away after a good shot. You're bowling, throw a good shot, practice, leave on a good shot. There's no point in having him play again. You saw the worst of Wemby in a 2 of 13 shooting performance on Friday night. By the way, we got to check and see if we can find what the TV ratings was for that. I haven't looked yet. TV ratings, Spurs Summer League, Friday night. He put up a hell of a performance on Friday night. So, to me, get him out of there. Let him go. Let him go start getting stronger, working on, finding a home in San Antonio. Get him comfortable in this country. There's no reason to put him back out there in meaningless games with guys he's not even going to be playing with full time. Because you got to remember, he's going to be playing with guys that are not playing in this summer league. Yeah, some of these guys he's going to play with at various times. But all the guys that he's going to be playing with for the Spurs for the most part, they're sitting at home right now watching this. They're not out there with him. Victor Wembanyama's NBA Summer League debut came just shy of a viewership record, Charles Carter. We set the number at 1.6 million on Friday night, which, by the way, the highest ever for a Summer League game was Pelicans-Knicks, Zion Williamson, 1.61 million viewers. That was the highest ever. I said it would go under. Well, I set the number at 1.6 million. You said over. Dave in Connecticut said under. The average number of viewers for Friday night's game was 1.39 million viewers. You're going to have to donate an hour of your pay for the show to Dave in Connecticut. I'm sure he will send you his Venmo information. Now, where it gets interesting, and we weren't specific about this. Viewership peaked on Friday night at higher than 1.39 million. It peaked at 1.63 million. Oh, scandalous. Because that technically puts it over 1 point. So at one point in the broadcast, the viewership was over 1.63 million. We did not specify if we were talking about average of viewers versus peak viewers. So I think we should call it a draw. If I am the judge and jury of this, I think we're calling it a draw. I think Dave would probably agree. I don't think you need your $5 that badly. Or you can both send $5 to me. For being the odds maker that I set a pretty good number at 1.6 million. Let's be honest about it. I could be an odds maker. The cashing continues on SportsMap Radio. That's pretty funny. Average viewer 1.39. Viewership peaked at 1.63. Last year's most watched Summer League game was Magic Kings. It was only 433,000 viewers. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Where's the dog? Oh.
When somebody pays attention, it's like, is it time? Oh, tomorrow's Prime Day.
Wake up call. Jesus. Paul's been a disaster. Your boss. Well, we've had the good on the show tonight. The home run derby. We've had the bad. Pat Fitzgerald and Jalen Kitna. Now we get to the truly ugly. Which, by the way, was one of the best shows on television. If you've never seen Oz and you have like HBO Max, well, I think now it's just called Max, do yourself a favor and watch Oz. You ever watch Oz, Charles? Do you have Max? I mean, I don't know if I would call it underrated. It is one of the best shows I've ever watched. And I've known people that have done real time in real prison, and they have all to a man said the same thing. Not that I'm hanging around in a lot of circles with guys that have done hard time, but if you work in enough restaurants when you're younger, you work with like people in the back of restaurants, the people you don't see. You know, you see the pretty girl, the hot young man walking around with a tray serving you your food. You don't see the people in the back. The people making the food, washing the dishes, keeping the kitchen clean. Like, you don't see those people. A lot of those people, a good number of those people have done real time. Every restaurant I've ever worked at, I've worked in 3 different restaurants. They've all had some element of people that worked there that did hard time. And all of them to a man have said the same thing. Oz is the most realistic portrayal of life in prison. If you've never watched Oz, seriously, do a binge of that show. And there's some great actors in it. Now, you got to be comfortable with some uncomfortable things. We'll just leave it at that. Right? I think we could say it that way. Right? Yeah. So, oh, really? Really? To work at a warehouse? All right. Just learned something new. Larry Nassar was in the news today. Stabbed multiple times at a federal prison. If you don't know who Larry Nassar is, he's the ex-USA gymnastics doctor who sexually abused girls for a long time. He is alive. He has not died as a result of his wounds, but I think they said it's now the second different time that he's going to have to be moved to a different prison because he's been attacked. Anybody who knows anything about prison knows child molesters, sexual assault, perpetrators, they are considered the lowest of the low in prison. So they get it the worst from a prison treatment perspective. You've got a bullseye on your back if you're Larry Nassar. That is part one of the ugly. I think he is expected to live from what I've gathered in the story. Part two, if you're going to sexually abuse your soccer kids that are playing on your team, don't leave your cell phone lying around at a restaurant with pictures of it. Oh, you can't make this up. Police say they've arrested a, quote, popular Tennessee soccer coach after finding videos on his cell phone depicting unconscious boys being sexually assaulted. Camilo Hurtado Campos is being held in Franklin, Tennessee on charges of rape of a child and sexual exploitation of a minor, with additional charges expected to be filed. It's just follow me here for a second. If you're a parent and you see this story, why would you ever let your kid play youth athletics? I mean, this guy was a popular Tennessee soccer coach, right? Like, you think you know people. You think you know people. You think, he's not on a sex offender registry or anything like that, right? Like, how would you ever know? How would you ever think to know? Like, and again, just to bring it back to my own story, I was sexually assaulted as a very young child. To this day, I'm still in therapy for it. I'm 45 years old. Okay. And like my therapist even says, how would your parents have known? Would they have even believed you if you told them? Like, how do you deal with something like that? And I think of these gymnasts that went to, I think it was Michigan State, where Nasser was, and then USA Gymnastics and whatnot. I think about these young girls that were under the care of Larry Nasser. I heard one of the stories today of one of those gymnasts who said one of the times it was hours. Think about that. Imagine 4 or 5 hours of this disgusting man doing God knows whatever he wants to you, and you just having to sit there and be like, all right, it's for the good of the program, good of my gymnastics career for USA Gymnastics. Hey, I want to be in the Olympics someday. I mean, can you imagine having to rationalize that sort of thing? I don't think anybody's shedding any tears for Larry Nasser today, and I know it's very ghoulish to say that. It's extremely ghoulish. It hurts me to think that I even have a place in my heart that can go to the place where I say it's kind of hard to feel sorry for Larry Nasser getting shivved today, or yesterday as it would have been, in a prison in Florida, where he's going to spend the rest of his natural-born life. Back to this Campos guy. Police say they were alerted after Campos left his phone at a restaurant and employees went through the device. He didn't even have security on the phone, or he left it on, looking for information about the owner so they could return it. What they found instead were dozens of unconscionable videos and pictures of children. So they called police. Authorities investigated, found hundreds of disturbing images and videos on the 63-year-old's phone. The guy recorded it all. And we're talking boys between the ages of 9 and 17. Whew. That is rough stuff, man. Bond was set at just over $500,000. Not clear if he has a attorney yet. And I don't care what kind of attorney he has. That dude's going to be doing hard time for a long time. And I don't, again, much like Larry Nasser, I don't think anybody's going to be shedding any tears for that one. But again, how does somebody get away with something like that for so long? You think about it in the Larry Nasser case. And the answer is simple. People are afraid to speak out. Sexual assault victims are afraid to speak out. We hear this all the time. Well, why didn't somebody say something? I'll even broaden this out for a second. The Bill Cosby stuff that went down years ago. Well, it happened in the early 2000s. 50 different women came forward. Why didn't anybody say anything then? The Donald Trump. You've had numerous allegations. Sexual assault, sexual misconduct. E. Jean Carroll, cried rape. Oh, but she didn't do it right away. If it was so bad, why didn't she do it right away? Victims are scared to come forward. I was a victim of sexual assault as a 7-year-old. I did not say anything publicly. I didn't say anything to my family until I was 40, 41. And even then, they didn't know how to process it. Imagine if you're a little kid, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. So people always ask, why doesn't anybody say anything? Who would believe it? Final hour next. Be right back. Put that segment in the pod, the stuff I talked about. No, that was also the anti-anxiety medication, wasn't it? Walking Dead. Walking Jason. Ugh. So good. So good. So good. Sweet Caroline. Ba, ba, ba. Sorry, were you calling me? Yeah, what's up? We have that. We have Bill Bender. We have the home run derby from the first hour. Yeah, that's probably fine for now. I mean, again, it's a slow sports week. I don't need to force anything on. You know. Papa Dukes. Who's so handsome? Oh, I know. It's you. Nah. Mm. Mm. Nah. Mm. Oh, yeah. Oh, what a rush. final hour of a Monday/Tuesday edition of the show. Glad you're along for the ride tonight. We have literally gone through the good, bad, and the ugly tonight, haven't we, Charles Carter? We have spanned the spectrum, if you will. If you are not following me on Twitter, please do so. I'm on Twitter, at the back page. Again, on Twitter, at the back page. And the reason I tell you to do so is we will soon have a subscriber button on Twitter. And it is going to be loaded with all sorts of goodies. Low monthly subscription. We're going to be giving cool stuff away that only subscribers can get. We will have a cool subscriber-only show every week. Different guests that you are not going to hear on the radio show. A subscriber, yes, subscriber-only show. Even that perked your interest, huh? Piqued your curiosity, didn't it? Yep, all sorts of cool stuff. Details are coming. We are waiting on final approval from Twitter for our subscription service. And once that is a go, we will make a full announcement and rollout here on the cash-in. So, trust me, it's going to be cool. It's going to definitely be worth the subscription rate. So, hopefully you guys will check it out. Check it out. So there is that. Can I tell you something happened yesterday? First time in my life it's ever happened. True. I swear to you. I don't think you'll ever guess it. But if you follow me on Twitter, you already know the answer. Because if you follow me on, you were going to cheat. You weren't going to guess. You know what happened because you follow me on Twitter. You huckleberry, you. You were going to try and jump the line. So yesterday, Sunday, final game before the All-Star break, decided to get in my cozy chair here in the Page Estate right next to Studio J. And I sat down, watched the Yankees play against the Cubbies. Yankees trying to win 3 of 4. 3 of 4? 2 of 3? I don't know. But Yankees playing the Cubs. Anthony Volpe, Kyle Higashioka, the most unlikely back-to-back home runs you're going to see in baseball this year. 3-1 Yankees. No, 4-1 Yankees. 7th inning, Domingo Germán comes out. I think he walks the leadoff man. It might have been 1 out. Walks somebody. He's thrown 73 pitches. Aaron Boone comes and takes the baseball. It's 4-1 Yankees. I mean, they're going to still win. It's 4-1 Yankees. It's the Cubs. The Cubs are pitiful. It's still going to win the game. Nick Ramirez comes on in relief. Throws a tailor-made ground ball pitch. Gleyber Torres boots it like a little leaguer. Everybody's safe. Another pitching change. Then a walk. Bases are loaded. Nobody's out. Yankees bring in Clay Holmes. Nobody out, bases loaded. They bring in Clay. Was it Clay Holmes? No, it wasn't Clay Holmes yet. They brought in another reliever. It wasn't Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes came in the next inning during another disaster for the Yankees. Cubs get 3, tie the game at 4 in that fateful inning. Yankee bullpen. Aaron Boone just pushing all the wrong buttons. I mean, I hate being this guy. Because I think second-guessing managers in baseball will just drive you batty. But when they're as bad as Aaron Boone and it's as consistently bad in-game management as you will possibly get from Aaron Boone, when you're just constantly getting bad in-game managing. 4-4. Next inning, Cubs come back up. Yankee bullpen just continues to go. Ron Marinaccio can't throw a ball over the plate. I could have thrown more strikes with my shredded shoulder. Then Clay Holmes comes in. Yankees put 5 men on the infield with the bases loaded, trying to get a double play. Fly ball, run scores, 5-4. They score another run, 6-4. Yankees lose 6-4. But I will, or 7-4, I think was the final. But I actually did something on Sunday. Something I have never done in my life. Know what I did? I turned off the game before it was over. I actually turned off the game. I was so disgusted. I was so angry. I don't get angry about sports anymore. I'm not that guy anymore because when you cover it for a living, it's different. I'm a story guy. I don't really get, even as much as I love the Yankees, and that's still the only thing that I really get excited about watching because baseball's in my blood. I don't get, angry. This ruined my Sunday afternoon. I can't remember the last time a sports event actually ruined my day. This ruined my day. I was so pissed off at the way Aaron Boone handled that game. And then what do the Yankees do after the game? What do they do? What's going to make it all better? Oh, no. We're not going to fire Aaron Boone. We're not going to do that. Then we're going to have to pay him to sit around and, work for MLB Network. No, we're going to fire the hitting coach for the fact that we were up 4-1 and our manager decided to take out the starting pitcher who had only thrown 70-some-odd pitches, who, by the way, he can go deep in games. He just threw a perfect game recently. He had allowed one hit. One hit. 74 pitches. 70 whatever pitches. And Aaron Boone takes him out of the game. So we're not going to fire Aaron Boone. Nope. We're going to fire the hitting coach. The most overrated position in all of professional sports. I mean, there is no more overrated a job. Maybe QB coach for, the Chiefs would be the next most overrated job. But being a hitting coach in the major leagues, there is nothing more overrated than that. The Yankees go hire Aaron Boone's buddy Sean Casey of MLB Network to go and be the new hitting coach for the Yankees. His contract will run through the rest of the season, and then they'll determine if they want to keep him. Yankees fired Dylan Lawson. I mean, let's be honest. The Yankee offense was good when Aaron Judge was there. It sucked when he wasn't. It's not Dylan Lawson's fault that the Yankees have had Giancarlo Stanton hurt, Anthony Rizzo hurt, Josh Donaldson hurt, although they might have been better when Josh Donaldson was hurt. No offense. Now, I know some people will point to the fact that Anthony Volpe turned around his offensive struggles this season, not because of Dylan Lawson, but because he had a chicken parm dinner with a guy at AA named Trey Sweeney, who said, hey, you're opening up your hip too quick. And now Anthony Volpe's just been a different hitter ever since. That wasn't like Dylan Lawson, the hitting coach, trying to turn it around. It was literally one of his former teammates in the minors helping him out. Trey Sweeney, who's also a Yankee prospect. So the Yankees hire Sean Casey. And reportedly, Aaron Boone's job is safe. Now, look, I am the guy that will all the time say, don't tell me to fire a manager unless you know who you're replacing with. Unless you can give me a definitive answer, this guy's available, I want to hire this guy to replace Aaron Boone. Then don't call this show or any other sports radio show and say, fire the manager. I'm the first one to complain when sports radio shows have people doing that. But at this point, I feel like I can honestly say anybody would do better than Aaron Boone. But he's won all these regular season games. Yes, because the Yankees always have one of the highest payrolls and a dearth of talent. I say this all the time about being a baseball manager. You don't have a lot of difficult. Most games manage themselves. Unless you're the Yankees and you're Aaron Boone and you are hell-bent on overmanaging the crap out of them. And so busy looking at books and guides and third time through the order and this, that, and the other thing. By now, you would think somebody in that organization would be smart enough to realize, okay, what we're doing from an in-game managerial perspective is not working. We need to do something different. And they just keep banging their heads up against a wall. Time after time after time. I had to turn the game off on Sunday. I don't turn games off. This does not bother me. Yesterday, it bothered me so much I had to turn the game off. I can't remember ever doing that as an adult. Usually it just rolls off me, whatever. Teams win, teams lose, whatever. I was so pissed off I had to turn off a game. I don't do that. Did it on Sunday. Lots more to do in this hour of the show. The Cash In with me, Jason Page, SportsMap Radio. So you saw my little outburst on Twitter? Oh, I was so mad. God, I was so mad. I was absolutely steamed. Oh, God. I was so mad. Fucking. And the worst part is, they're going to go on a run at some time in the second half this year. They're going to make the playoffs, and they won't fire him again because they made the playoffs. It's inevitable. It's fucking inevitable. It's easy. You got friggin' Dusty who manages from the gut. He doesn't give a shit about analytics. No, God, I can't stand it. Nope. Manage from your gut, man. Watch the game. Watch what's happening. The guy's given up one hit. It's the 7th inning. He's throwing 74 pitches. You know what relief pitchers are? Do you know what relief pitchers are? Charles Carter. They're failed starters. Why would you choose to go to a failed starter? Nobody goes to the minor leagues as a reliever. Everybody's a starter. By the time you get to the majors, if you're a reliever, you are a failed starter. You're a fucking crapshoot. With very few exceptions. Why? Why do you go to a crapshoot? You got a guy who's throwing a one-hitter in the 7th inning. Fucking hate it. I'm sitting there screaming at my TV. I don't ever get like that. Like, I was so angry. I'd be shitting me. Trying to get Lucas Giolito on the show this week. White Sox pitcher. Friends with his uncle. Had him on late last season. Actually, after the season ended, we had him on. I was just saying to Charles during the break, And I think people always need to remember this. What are... Oh, we're getting a little... All right. I like a little Joan Jett. Oh, you can keep... Joan Jett and Bryan Adams are actually coming out to the arena where I live. Palm Springs. Mm-hmm. Oh, I want to see... I would kill to see it. Problem is, it's the day before I leave. It's the night before I leave for Seattle for my cruise to Alaska. So I can't even go. Play my favorite song. I was just saying this to Charles during the break. I said, Charles, what are relief pitchers? 90% of relief pitchers. Even the greatest reliever of all time, the first 100% pick for the Hall of Fame, Mariano Rivera. You know what he was? A failed starting pitcher. Most relievers are failed starters. Don't call them relievers. Call them failed starters. Because when you think of it that way, and you've got a guy throwing a one-hitter in the 7th inning with 70-something pitches, it makes it a little easier to not put in a failed starter to come in and try and finish the rest of the game or the rest of an inning. Or an inning and a half. Get you 5 outs, 6 outs, 4 outs, whatever. Relief pitchers are literally the definition of a baseball crapshoot. I'm screaming at my television yesterday. Just screaming at the television. How do you... And it's happened more than once this year, a lot more than once, probably at least a handful of games where Aaron Boone has pushed the wrong button. Cost this team baseball games. Now you got me throwing bottles around. The margin of error when you're missing an Aaron Judge is so small. You cannot afford to have a guy sitting on the bench watching a game be the person that costs you games. You can't. Can't happen. And he's still the Yankee manager. Just can't do anything wrong. He must have naked pictures of the Steinbrenners or something. Compromising positions. He must. He's got to know where all the bodies are buried. He must know where Jimmy Hoffa is buried. Aaron Boone must know where Hoffa is buried and who killed JFK. He must. He must. Otherwise, I can't find an explanation for why the guy still has a job. You don't have a lot of big decisions to make. Lineups practically make themselves today. Got to get it right. Bleeding Christ. A couple of basketball notes. Coming up in 12 minutes, the 2-for-1 will save me from stroking out here. Conversation with Bill Bender of the Sporting News on the Pat Fitzgerald firing at Northwestern and Jalen Kitna entering the transfer portal. Because he just thinks, hey, they dropped all those child porn charges, you know. That didn't really happen. So I'm going to just enter to the transfer portal and pretend none of this, you know, photos of underage kids on my phone. We'll just pretend that didn't happen. Is somebody going to bring Jalen Kitna to their program? We'll talk about Bill Bender, Sporting News, national college football writer, about 10 minutes from now on the show. So look, this isn't anything we didn't know already, but to hear it officially out of the mouth of Adam Silver has got to warm the hearts of fans in Seattle. I mean, we know Vegas is getting a team eventually when it comes to the NBA and expansion and all those different things. But Seattle, hearing it come out of the commissioner's mouth, Dr. Evil Adam Silver, that the NBA is looking at expansion and Seattle and Las Vegas are the spots. It's got to make you feel good if you're a fan in Seattle. The wait, the interminable wait for the NBA to return to Seattle, the light is there at the end of the tunnel. Fans in Seattle, you will eventually be getting an NBA team again. Adam Silver also said something very interesting regarding sovereign owners. There are no plans in the NBA to let sovereign wealth funds control NBA teams. Last month, Qatar's sovereign wealth fund purchased a 5% stake in Monumental Sports and Entertainment, which gives it a stake in the Washington Wizards, the Mystics, and the Washington Capitals. And, of course, everybody knows what's going on with Live Golf, which is another story unto itself that we'll get into a little more this week because somebody on the PGA board just basically said, I'm done, I'm leaving. At the same time, you've got somebody on the PGA board writing an op-ed saying that if we didn't do this, we were going under. The PGA Tour would have gone bye-bye, which is a whole nother conversation, but we'll get into it this week on the show. We've got, as I said, we've got a whole week with no games to talk about until Friday. But Adam Silver made it very clear, under the NBA's current investment rules, the controlling owner of an NBA team has to own at least 15% of the franchise. Any sovereign wealth fund can only have a passive investment in a team of no greater than 5%. So you're not going to get a PIF coming into the NBA and buying a team. Never happened. Adam Silver made it very clear. He also talked about the criticism of his decision to suspend Ja Morant for 25 games from the NBA Players Association by saying the open-ended nature of the suspension was to come up with a plan that would allow Morant to get back on the court in the best possible way. He said, what I didn't want was to then further impose check-the-box requirements in terms of coming back. I wanted to come up with a program that was mutually agreeable in terms of him getting his life in order before he returns to basketball. And as I understand it, he's continuing to seek help. And I know there's enormous pressure that comes with being an NBA player, particularly a superstar player. So I'm certainly empathetic to the pressures he faces. But again, he said, Seattle, Vegas, expansion. And that is a very big deal. He says it's not a sure thing, but as I've said before, I think it's natural that organizations grow over time. We'll look at Las Vegas. There's no doubt there's enormous interest in Seattle. That's not a secret. There are other markets that have indicated interest. And just for the people who will hear or read about this interview, we are not engaged in that process now. I mean, we're not taking meetings right now with any potential groups. What we're saying to everyone privately is the same thing. I'm saying publicly, there'll be a very open process at the time. We're ready to consider expansion, but that's not yet. He said, but that's not yet that's not now. That's what he said. So we'll wait and see what, how that progresses. But at some point Seattle's getting a team again. Of all the cities that deserve a second shot at the NBA, Seattle is certainly one of those spots that deserves a team. So that's coming. Bob Huggins. Boy, that dude is absolutely hell-bent on burning the building down on his way out. Like, he threw the gas all over the entire building, loaded it up with gasoline, walking out the door, he turned around, said, I forgot to strike the match. Threw it over the back of his shoulder, and on his way out, just incinerating everything he built, not just at West Virginia, but at Cincinnati, his entire legacy just up in flames. And for what? For what? The school was giving him a graceful exit that he didn't even deserve. Talk about good deeds going, punished. My God. They could have fired him after the anti-gay slurs in the radio interview, which they should have. Then he gets a DUI where he can't even walk straight. And now Huggy Bear saying, oh, no, I didn't really resign. Bill Bender, college football, next. All right, I should have the Bill Bender interview here. Boom, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Boom, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. So since I have changed this cable, we've had no issues with playing back interviews. So that's good. Yeah. Faux show. Good to have you with us tonight. May not be a lot going on the field, on the court, wherever it may be. But there is big news from the world of college football.
Yeah, I would go
Northwestern has fired its head football coach, Pat Fitzgerald. Kind of a dark story that has started to emerge here. Good to have you with us tonight. May not be a lot going on the field, on the court, wherever it may be, but there. Good to have you with us tonight. May not be a lot going on the field, on the court, wherever it may be, But there is big news from the world of college football. Northwestern has fired its head football coach, Pat Fitzgerald. Kind of a dark story that has started to emerge here amid allegations of widespread hazing within the football program. The university president, Michael Schill, made the announcement today. Quote, the head coach is ultimately responsible for the culture of his team. The hazing we investigated was widespread, clearly not a secret within the program, providing Coach Fitzgerald with the opportunity to learn what was happening. Either way, the culture in Northwestern football, while incredible in some ways, was broken in others. Bill Bender does a great job on college football. We usually talk to him during the season. He's with the Sporting News, kind enough to join us tonight on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. All right, Bill, what changed over the last few days that they went from a 2-week suspension to basically eliminating the head coach?
Well, it's still, this is a stunner. I mean, just from my standpoint, when you talk about Pat Fitzgerald, you talk about one of the most stand-up guys in the profession, in my experience. You know, you talk to other coaches about him, you talk to anybody about him, and being around him, he was that guy, which makes these allegations of hazing and even racism shocking in that locker room. So I think what changed was that the Daily Northwestern story came out, all of the findings are there, and then just got go from there like so many things do. So I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it, honestly. And the latest news being that Pat Fitzgerald's going to hire an attorney. This isn't going away.
No, it certainly isn't. You know what else, though, about all this? You know, you love the sort of student journalism aspect of this. Not to go far afield on this, but, in a day and age, like we just saw today, the New York Times basically blew up its sports department. It's using the Athletic to fill in the gaps for the New York Times sports section. It's kind of cool to see, like, some real journalism play a role in this.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And it's definitely one of those deals where, in our field, like you said, it's good to have people do that, and it's good to have, just in general for our profession, to be able to have that investigative power and to keep the power in local journalism at the student level. I remember being a student journalist, and everything there was pretty good. So,
was it ultimately though? Bill, was it ultimately the outrage after the story came out and only the 2-week suspension? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what changed, what new information came to light that sort of changed the calculus here.
I think for me, it was some of that, the outrage. It's 2023. I think where the sticking point to me is the hazing part, and then the allegations of, the stuff in the locker room, I don't even know if I can use the phrase that was used in the article on your show, so I'm not going to do it. Those kind of things with the purge mask and, types of behavior that, quite frankly, in a locker room with winning culture shouldn't be happening. Is that fair to say? I mean, absent of whether these allegations are true or not, you have to take them very seriously. So that's where, once you see those kind of words and phrases in an article, and regardless of the comfort level or whether it was right or wrong, you figure that that's probably the sticking point where Northwestern's going to hang it on. And like you said, the article obviously made the university kind of change their tune, which was the crazy part.
We've seen, examples of this in the past and how universities handle it. New Mexico State had a hazing incident where they basically, shut down the program. I know that they fired the head coach here. Is this something that warrants just closing down the program for a year, trying to get your arms around this? And how does the NCAA proceed with any potential action here? Are they going to want their pound of flesh as well?
Well, we're going to find out next. And I think, you got to vet out these allegations probably further to see if the courts get involved. You never want that. It goes beyond football at a certain point. And again, we have to define what constitutes the hazing that they're talking about. I mean, the conflicting reports part is, and I'm using another phrase that I just learned today, running and Shrexless and those kind of things. Some of these Northwestern players say they are 100% there. Others say they're not. it was odd to me that the entire team, or, you know, it was a canned PR type statement, but when that many people voice their support for a coach, these things get ugly. And unfortunately, we've had one of these happen, I don't want to say every year, but this is another year where we've had this happen.
Talking with Bill Bender, Sporting News does a great job on college football here on the Cash In SportsMap Radio. Move to Jalen Kitna here for a second, because I talked about this story last week, and in full disclosure, you know, as somebody who's a victim myself of sexual assault at a young age, this is something that's obviously near and dear to me when I see these sorts of stories. And you see the child porn charges dropped against him, which is still amazing unto itself. And another one of these examples where, you know, hey, enough money, right attorney, you get the result that you want, so he doesn't have to register as a sex offender. And I mean, I remember saying last week, I can't imagine a scenario where a major Division I college, any college, is going to want this guy on their campus with the PR headache alone that comes with it. And then I see he's entered the transfer portal, which means there must be some expectation that somebody's going to want to give him another chance. Is that what's going to happen?
We'll see. I would say at this part of the story, probably highly unlikely. And like you said, it's a head scratcher from top to bottom. You know, and I'm sensitive to those kind of things too. So I know is the best answer I can give you. I don't know if there'll be a market for him. I don't know if that's really played out. Or
it only takes one, though. At the end of the day, it only takes one, like anything else.
Right. And you know, I think it's different from players to coaches. You know, we've seen coaches time and again get second and third chances despite these types of things. Not anything like that, but I mean, you know what I mean? So it's a fun day for college football, to say the least, that you have to talk about these things instead of the upcoming media days, for example.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, you're still talking about teenagers. And I mean, think about we just talked about a hazing incident. Could you imagine the kind of crap that Jalen Kitna would be subject to? Rightly so, if he was giving crap. But I mean, it's just not. It just doesn't seem like a scenario that's viable for any major college. What's that redemption school that everybody winds up going to try and, sort of fix their careers? I mean, maybe somebody like that decides to take them in, but I just can't imagine a major D1 FBS program saying, yeah, you know what, we're gonna be the school that gives him a shot, because there's going to be people protesting everywhere.
Right, and you're going to bring that into your program. It would be very complicated, to say the least. One of the points I brought up, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with Kitna as much as Fitzgerald, is in my column this evening, I wrote that maybe, the college locker room is going to have to evolve into more of a professional workplace. I think where one of the sticking points with the Fitzgerald story that I've been debating all night is he said he left the locker room to them. That's their place. Well, the locker room doesn't belong to the players. It belongs to the coaches. It belongs to the university. It belongs to the athletic directors. You know what I mean? So I think we need to move towards, and I'm not grandstanding, I just think the locker room will need to be a professional workplace like anywhere where you and I would work.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right, especially now with the element of money and NIL money and these guys representing brands in some case. It's a whole different ballgame.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, treat it like a professional workplace, not a locker room. Now, some old school type people, and yeah, I played high school football, and this is not a great example, but locker room, I never had any of those experiences. It was locker room, it was get in, get your pads off, get out, and I think that's what it needs to become, like in a workplace where you respect everybody's privacy, you respect getting in, getting out. And you can still build a team at the college level, but with the element of money and the element of the transfer portal where guys can come and go, and if they don't like how things were run one place, you never know what they're going to say about your program. So, like I said, some of me is still reserving judgment to see how it plays out in the court for Pat Fitzgerald, but I'm guessing Northwestern is going to win that one just from the standpoint that they found cause to fire him, and it's going to be hard to reverse that.
And I don't know how much information he really wants getting out there. You talk about lawsuits, you talk about discovery, and some of the things that may come out may wind up making it worse for Pat Fitzgerald than if he just kind of quietly goes away and then tries to rehab his career elsewhere. Bill Bender, Sporting News, great job on college football. Check out his column on the Fitzgerald story and much more. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it tonight.
Hey, no problem. Take care. Have a good evening.
Good to catch up. Thanks for being along for the ride tonight. Night 1 of the slowest week in the sports calendar all year, the week of the baseball all-star game. Some people like to say, well, the week after the Super Bowl. No. There's still games going on the week after the Super Bowl. There's a reason the ESPYs are this week, because there's nothing to compete with. And ESPN is hopeful you are so desperate to see professional athletes that you'll watch them in suits. ESPN is doing an interesting 30 for 30, though, that I think is definitely worth watching. And it's about Jimmy V's famous "Don't give up, don't ever give up" speech, which was, I can't even believe it was 30 years ago. I remember that like it was yesterday. I was 16 years old. It's crazy. You're crazy. So that is going to be going on this week. So that'll be a good watch for sure. Certainly something that will tug at the heartstrings, to say the least. So we got that going on. Baseball, all-star game, because we need something to bet on, don't we? I mean, what is the WNBA thinking? Yeah, we're going to put games on Tuesday night up against the baseball all-star game. Good luck with that. MLB all-star game. Zach Gallen gets the start for the National League. Garrett Cole gets his first start in an all-star game. A lot of people think he is the best pitcher to never win a Cy Young Award. That could change this year. He had a bit of a rough stretch, but is still pitching to, I think, a 2.8 ERA. Still having a nice year. Zach Gallen, the starter for the National League. Cole for the AL. First pitch tomorrow night, around 8 p.m. Eastern. The American League plus a run and a half at minus 192. The National League minus a run and a half plus 155. The money line is dead even at minus 108, which is amazing considering the American League has dominated this game. I mean, the last 10 MLB All-Star games. Here we go. Last 10 MLB All-Star games. I don't know why it's giving me 2018. I have no idea. You ask for the last 10, you don't get the last 10. Let's see here. AL leads the series 47-43-2. So the AL has won the last 3. No, that is incorrect. I'll give you the right information here. Sorry about that. AL has won the last 9 All-Star games, going back to 2013. And what's amazing? Not only do they win, the National League doesn't score. I mean, the National League had 1 year where it put up more than 3 runs. In the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 All-Star games. In the last 9 All-Star games, only once has the National League put up more than 3 runs. And that was July 17th, 2018, when the American League beat the National League 8-6 at Nationals Park. I mean, that's remarkable. And what does that prove yet again? What does that prove yet again, Charles? One of the oldest adages in baseball. The All-Star game in general proves this. Good pitching beats good hitting. Every time. Never fails. Never fails. Sayings are sayings for a reason. And it's absolutely true. Good pitching beats good hitting every time. Is there a bet tomorrow? Let me see. Is there any sort of prop bet on this game that on the runs being scored? The total right now is 7.5. Over 7.5 at plus 100. Under 7.5 at minus 122. Let's see. Odds to hit a home run. Otani. Best odds to hit a home run, believe it or not, are Mookie Mookie Betts. How would Mookie Betts have the best odds to hit a home run? How does that happen? You see him tonight? Oh, my God. It was like watching a little leaguer. Let's see. Is there any prop on the National League? National League. Here we go. National League total runs. Talk about no faith in the NL. National League total runs, 3.5 is the number. What did I say? Once in the last 9 games, they scored 3 runs or more. So you got to like that bet, don't you? Or do you go or do you go the other way and say, well, they're due? To me, if you're a figures guy, if you are a hardcore bettor and you look at the information, the proper bet is the under at 3.5, right? Should we lock it in as an official cash-in bet? I don't normally do things that are like before a game or anything, but I almost feel like you have to. Yeah, it's only their money, right? We should start like you know what we should do? We should do like a cash-in, like a wealth fund. Like people just send us their money and we just make their bets. Yeah. It'll be like an investment fund. Just send me, I'll be like, just send us your money and we'll just make all the bets for you. There we go. 3.5 the total for the National League. I would take under 3. I would take under 3.5. American League is also 3.5. And here's what's interesting about that. American League in the last 9, they've won all these, they've won the last 9 All-Star games. They have scored more than 3 once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So you take the AL to go over, you take the NL to go under, right? That's what it feels like. Right? That's what it feels like. To hit a single in the game, Luis Ariz is plus 114. Otani is plus 122. Oh, my dog ripped a vicious fart right next to me. Just vile. Oh, man. Oh, it's a sleep fart. Yeah. Oh, just desecrated the studio. My God, that's bad. And now we've shamed him, so he lifted his head up like, what? What'd I do? I don't understand. Oh, it's vicious, man. That is vicious. Just no care in the world. Luis Ariz is plus 114 to hit a single tomorrow night. Otani is plus 122. Freddie Freeman is plus 136. Boy, you can go all the way down the list. All these different guys. A lot of fun prop bets for the All-Star game if you want to keep it interesting tomorrow night. Don't get out of hand. It's an All-Star game. Don't go crazy. A lot of quick bets. First home run. To hit first home run in the game, Otani is plus 950. He has the lowest odds is plus 950. Or the best odds, as it would be. Plus 950. Everybody else is plus 1,000 or higher. You could bet every inning of the game. Whew. Man, it's a junkie's dream tomorrow night. It is a junkie's dream. 2 WNBA games tomorrow. Yeah, I think you go under. So the official, let's make it official. The official cash-in wagers for tomorrow are under on the National League, under 3.5 on the National League, over 3.5 on the American League. Thank you. Hopefully we help you cash some winning tickets because we haven't been doing a lot of live betting on the show. So we'll do that tomorrow night. That'll be our pick, and that game should be pretty close to done by the time we come on. It'll be in the late stages, and we'll keep you up to date on what's going on with it. It's going to do it for us for this Monday. Thank you to Bill Bender from the Sporting News, national college football writer. If you missed anything, we have the Cash In with Jason Page podcast. Go and subscribe, the Cash In with Jason Page podcast. Follow me on Twitter at the back page. Subscription coming soon. Thank you, Charles Carter. I'll see you on Wednesday. I'm Jason Page. That's the Cash In. Bye. Thank you, sir. Have a good night. I'll talk to you on Wednesday. Okay. Thank you. All right. Thanks, man. Does it for us on the video side as well. Whew. We got to fumigate this place. Wow. It was vicious, Dookie. Vicious. Thanks to everyone for watching. Thank you for listening. I will see you all back here on Tuesday night. Same bat time, same bat channel. I'm Jason Page. That's the Cash In. Have a good night.